a minute earlier, but I was crying a bit much. And I know how you guys feel about that. That gives a lot of you guys an excuse to harm me. Oh, you're just a pussy. You're a cry titty. You're a whine baby. Oh, I messed those up for you, didn't I? And now you guys are going to complain that I didn't put together them metaphors or acronyms or even get their names right. Fucking frustrated. The cops, instead of refusing to talk to witnesses and making excuses for those witnesses, that's illegal and immoral. It's speculation. And that's not the cop's job. The cop's job is to collect evidence and fucking investigate, not go out of their way to prevent an investigation and prevent that evidence from being shown. Their job isn't to go out of their way to discredit the victim like they've done. Thank goodness the Scudders are going to help. But also, their reasons for not coming forward didn't need to go to me over and over again. They needed to go to the police. Because it does help to show that I don't have a support network. I am an at-risk adult, and I cannot take care of myself. I cannot defend myself against mollies. I cannot defend myself against Farnsworths. And I cannot defend myself against crooked goddamn cops who want to do everything that they can to separate the victim from their friends and family. Cops who want to do everything in their power not to investigate. And the longer this goes on, the more abuse I take, the more abuse I have to turn in. I am not going to let it go because it is too often, too prevalent, and too frequent. No matter how many witnesses there are, the witnesses don't come forward. Only the predators do. The only ones that the cops will listen to are the ones who have bias. Whatever works out in their favor and makes it easy. They don't want to deal with Farnsworth, and he's got lots of friends here that'll, oh, he's mentally ill, you should let him go. No, you shouldn't. Kind of like people want to say, oh, Sean's mentally ill, you should lock him up. Same excuse, isn't it? Same excuse. But you want a different outcome depending on who it is. None of these people who have forced me to post these things on the YouTube and on the Facebook, none of them get to feign like they were some poor innocent victim in all this, because none of them were. All of them showed sexist and bias. Even the ones who claimed that they would help me, the women especially. The men were more straightforward about, hey dude, this is why it's not going to work. And I say, hey man, as long as you go in together, it does make a difference. I also show the difference, because I've recorded the difference. But also, I've also recorded many people allowing me information that they felt was pertinent, like people threatening to kill them and their family, or them getting sick, them having to provide for their family and feed for their family. That's a lot different than Sean didn't try to get help. Them being too broke is a lot different than Sean didn't try to get help. And them not helping because they were too busy, too sick, too whatever. That's a lot different than me not trying to get help. And it's a lot different than them not helping, probably because of the way that I acted. No, the way that I acted is because they weren't helping. They didn't care. They were always too busy. You will make time for what you care about. Do you really care if people continue to hurt me? No, you don't. Or you'd have done something about it. You'd have done something other than bitch at the peanut gallery. I have to make my decisions based on the information that I have. When I'm lied to by literally everyone, what information am I trying to work with? What I can prove. I can prove you lied to me. That's a good fucking start. I can prove that I was forced into situations that are immoral and illegal to force somebody into. I can show that I was forced to rely on drug addicts and drug dealers because of your bias against men, your hatred against the homeless, and the fact that you do treat disabled people like second-class citizens. Whereas men you treat like dogs, like they're rape monsters. And the homeless you blame for everything, but you're not allowed to blame on blacks or Mexicans anymore. Anything that you're not allowed to blame on Jews anymore, you blame on the homeless. Anything you're not allowed to take out on child molesters or rapists anymore, because they're protected, you take out on the homeless. By forcing me to go in alone, without somebody who actually cared about my well-being, you guaranteed that I would be brushed off and blown off and treated with bias and contempt. Scudders are up in the parking lot by the library waiting on me. So that's where I'm headed. A lot of people are mad at me for posting up on the internet, but here's the thing. It shows I told the fucking truth. The events themselves, being on my Facebook and on my YouTube, and my predators' names, faces, phone numbers, and their messages and calls. Because the cops didn't want to fucking do that. They didn't want to try. They wanted to try helping frame me for a murder that I didn't commit. Because they were told that I was some horrible monster by some fucking junkie whore. Meanwhile, she had all the help in the fucking world when it made a difference. You guys want to tell me where to go and call that help? Send me to numbers I've already called. That's not help. Call those with me. Tell them what you fucking know. Tell them what you have seen. Decline. No, we are not going to answer restricted numbers. Police, it is never okay to call from restricted numbers. It is never okay for your public pretender to call from restricted numbers. These are professionals, and they're literally calling from the same exact number as our stalkers. When it says restricted, how do we know it's a police officer and not another one of the hundreds and hundreds of calls from people threatening to kill my friends and family, or huffing and puffing, or accusing me of crimes I didn't commit? You force disabled people who cannot communicate properly while they're in a constant state of stress and constant fear. And then you harm them because they cannot communicate properly. Not fucking okay. Here's Tillamook Family Counseling Center. Right here off to the right. Tillamook Family Counseling Center. Can't hardly see it out that window, can you? No, you can't. I tell police officers that I'm getting calls from the strippers, and they will only talk to me. Fine. They will only restricted numbers. Knowing that, then they're intentionally, knowingly, and willingly trying to harm the victim. When they're trying to instruct us that we have to call every time one of these restricted calls calls up. No, that will drive us to fucking suicide. And that is what these fucking pigs want. You're a disabled homeless male. You You are the go-to to blame for everything wrong that ever went not in the way you wanted it to in your lifetime. It's all men's fault that your dad raped you, huh? You won't go after your dad, you'll just take it out on men at random. Oh yeah, and men aren't allowed to have PTSD because they're men. When a man is victimized, it's because he wanted it, needed it, and chose it. He asked for it. I ask for you to keep your fucking word. When I try to turn it in immediately, like, as in while the situation was happening with police officers, what did they do? Bring me off, treating me like a retard. Right there. Oh, that's not it. Are they open? Nice. I got a recording going already. I was complaining about how men are treated when they go to the cops about abuse versus women. Like Molly played victim and I got harmed. You know. All right. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm sorry about being gimpy too. That's one of the things I try to explain to people with running in and out all the time. But usually they're too busy giving suggestions to understand my disabilities ain't a choice. Yeah. Also, I can usually get by without the cane, but I broke my pinky toe. Yeah. Stupid problem to have, but because I was assaulted at the hospital, obviously I don't feel safe going there. Right. I could blame you for that, I guess. It's because you have a beard. Oh my God, your dad's a beardo too, though. Oh God, I've got a beard.
I can't have my that long. It always itches.
Well, here's the thing, without being able to process it, like all this stuff from last year and also from this year, the stuff that I've gone through, and mind you, I admit the mean stuff that I do, although it's not mean at the time, it's me having a panic attack and not having anyone there. But like, you know, even with your explanations of the hunting, of being broke, of not having a lot of money, they're not going to look at it or listen to it. Even with your numbers, they're not going to call you. And several of the officers have even said that they know you and they don't bother to talk to you. Yeah. The same thing with when they send me to mental health. The mental health doesn't want to listen to that. They want to push the housing thing. But when I try to explain to them that housing in Nebraska is one of the things that I have to turn in, they don't seem to get it. They think if I fill out the paperwork, I've already filled it out here with multiple agencies, it hasn't gone anywhere. And because they won't do anything about the crimes, which is what I'm sent there for. Oh, crimes were committed against you? Well, it says here we're supposed to take you to mental health. I'm like, that's because mental health is supposed to be mandated reporters, and the first thing they're supposed to do is call you. You're both supposed to be there. They're supposed to be there to make sure that you don't deny my rights, and you're supposed to be there to make sure they don't deny my rights. And you're both supposed to work together to make sure that I'm not harmed. But I explained that without a friend or family member there, they're not going to even try that. It's either going to be, all right, we're going to leave you with just mental health or just with the cops. They'll both talk over you when you meet with them. Both of them will refuse to look at evidence. Both of them will refuse to understand what you're going through. Both of them will say it's not their job and send you back and forth between one or the other. That has happened nearly nonstop the few times that I have gotten a little bit of the cops not being punk ass little bitches is when other people were involved.
Yeah.
So the thing with me getting kicked out of Fred Meyer's, I didn't want to be at Fred Meyer's. You know, that's not where I wanted to be. I didn't want to have to record in McDonald's either. And then I get people who are not able to do anything. All right, check this out. This is oh, he hung up already. Like I said, restricted call after restricted call. Missed call restricted. That's the fourth one since the last time I checked it, which was before I drove up here. There's also a whole bunch of the text messages and stuff. I mean, it's just non-stop harassment. Now, when I give out people's numbers on the internet, it's people like this. And the cops say, well, they can't do anything about it. They can't do anything about it. They can't do anything about it. They need to document it.
Yeah.
Because this harassment, when I go to court and I try to explain it, and I don't have Scudders that were there, and I don't have statements from Scudders, I go in there and they haven't tried to do what their job is. It's their job to get those statements. It's their job to talk to the witnesses.
Yeah.
I did my part. For that, they want me to do their part, and I have $800 to live on for the month.
Yeah.
You guys have your own lives. They could easily call you and find out, and they don't.
Oh yeah, they've got me on record because I'm under volunteers there at the jail.
Oh, you go there like for the church?
For Bible studies. Well, we were going until COVID hit. They haven't opened it up to us since.
Well, I stopped going to Bible study and stopped going to church. I do have my own personal relationship and beliefs and all that, but I try not to shove them down other people's throats as far as the Almighty goes.
If they want to, that's the thing at the jail. They have the choice of coming or not. It's up to them. But when I'm out here, I don't push my beliefs on people. If they want to hear about them, great. But if they don't, then that's the end of that.
Well, if you're hungry and you're a Christian, I'll feed you. If you're hungry and you're a Muslim, I'll feed you. If you're hungry and you're a Jew, I'll feed you. If you're hungry and you're an atheist, I'll feed you. If the devil come up to me and said, hey man, I'm freezing, I'd give him a blanket. If Jesus come up to me and said, hey man, I'm freezing, I'd give him a blanket. Anyway, you know that lady Candace? She's real skinny, drives a white car. She's got a son. Anyway, I fed her. I spent about $400 worth of my food stamps to feed her. Well, she come by yesterday screaming and hooting and hollering and yelling at me and threatening me, and there was witnesses to that too. Just nobody takes it seriously, and I have to be afraid to call the cops because they'll show up just like they did with Molly. Well, have those other people do it. Like the Fred Meyer's people, it's not their job to turn that stuff into the cops when the cops are already there to do something about it.
Yeah.
Why didn't the cops do something about it then and there like they were supposed to, especially when it's an at-risk adult? I can't turn off my disabilities.
Right.
Them making a suggestion that I do something I don't have the money to do, or that I don't have the physical ability to do, or the mental ability to do, or the financial ability to do, and they know it, they're preying on my disabilities because there are services. The services that they send me to know they're supposed to help me with that. But like I said, without a friend or family member speaking up, they don't. When I was trying to explain to you guys how important it was last year, I was really hoping that you guys, well, this is kind of your hometown, so it's going to be different for you guys anyway, even if you were homeless here.
We've been homeless here.
Yep.
Yeah, and I've been in jail 6 times.
11 times they pressed false charges on me in Chapel, Nebraska to have me locked up. They had to drop the charges every single time. Over 30 charges they charged me with. The only thing they were able to stick me with was a civil court that I was trying to turn in Scott DaCosta and his receptionist. Because like these restricted calls I'm getting now, I was getting them in Chapel on my old number. People give out my number off and it happens. Anyway, I was trying to turn it into the cops. They wouldn't listen, they wouldn't look, they wouldn't nothing. When people were threatening to kill me in Chapel, Nebraska, same thing. They wouldn't do nothing. They wouldn't investigate. Just like they didn't talk to you guys. They didn't go and talk to my predators. They didn't talk to any witnesses. They didn't nothing. So I've got a lot of evidence of my efforts, me trying, and I've got a lot of efforts where there's a lot of witnesses telling me, hey man, my daughter's sick, my wife's got cancer, I've got cancer, I'm sorry, I'm an alcoholic. That's a very common and frequent one. Or they won't listen to me because I'm a felon. I'm like, Ted Bollinger raped his own daughter. He's a multiple time felon, like enough of a felon that he should be in prison for the rest of his life. Yeah, he's a felon. If he can pretend that I did something wrong to him, then people can certainly speak up about what they saw.
Yeah.
But the cops didn't talk to any of the witnesses that were in the parking lot. There were so many of you. There was over a dozen witnesses that one night that Molly was breaking stuff on my vehicle and beating on my vehicle and threatening to kill me and wanting to know where Tom was at. And actually, I don't think she was threatening to kill me that night. I can't quite remember. But I've got 2 other recordings where she absolutely was. The problem is, like I said, without somebody going in with me. But now I've been talking for 10 minutes straight. The other thing is, like when I explain to people I can't just keep on carrying this stuff because it fatigues me, I do legit have back issues. You got to see my hospital paperwork.
Yeah.
When I went into the hospital, the dude treated me like I was faking it because it wasn't at my lumbar vertebrae. I told him about my lumbar problems. So when he was touching my lumbar and I didn't have the reaction that he would expect from it, but then he got that reaction once he got up to my thoracic vertebrae, the T11, T12, that's when I really had the shock go up my back. And then he treated me like I was a liar because I was telling him about my lumbar issues. But the stuff that I showed you is the T11 and T12.
Yeah.
So where he touched me, it's the T11 and the T12. Now that's not the assault. That's just where he was pretending like I was faking it. The assault was when I was getting up to leave. I was trying to tell the lady from TFCC all she was interested in doing, and this is what happens when I have to go in alone. You can't make a homeless male go in alone to the hospital. They will treat him like all he's there for is for drugs, or they try to peg him as being suicidal so they can put him on suicide watch, say he's got suicidal ideations, their job is done, no crime was committed against him, there are no witnesses, blah, blah, blah. That's basically the way they refuse to talk to you guys or do their jobs.
Yeah.
So when I had to go in there, that's what they were trying to do. The lady from Tillamook Family Counseling said, wanted to try to bully me into saying that I was trying to kill myself, and I wouldn't do it. I said, I'm not falling for this. I needed a friend or family member here, and I thought that Mike McKinster was going to be here with me. Mike McKinster had to leave and go back to work, and now you guys are doing exactly what I thought you would do if there was nobody here. This is not okay. So then she stood up and started yelling. And that's when the doctor came in and started yelling at me, I've had enough. You need to get out of here. And then he started pushing me and shoving me and poking me. And he did it at least half a dozen times. And he did it hard, knowing that I have back injuries. But he was too busy trying to treat me like I was a drug addict coming in there and lying to him. And his name is Dr. Stephan L. Stephanides is the one that was on my bracelet. I don't know if that's the doctor that assaulted me, though. There are a lot of times where I've had a doctor's name on my bracelet in a hospital and literally never saw a doctor. When they took me from the Garden County jail to the hospital in Garden County, they didn't have a doctor on that early in the morning. They told me the doctor wouldn't be on for 2 more hours. So Scott DaCosta called him up because they have to get Scott DaCosta's because I'm a dual county safekeep and he's the sheriff of dual county. All of the counties I was sent to, it was specifically because of dual county and the dual county sheriff's department. Everything that happened in every other county and every other jurisdiction in Nebraska all happened over the dual county sheriff's department trying to hide their crimes, press false charges, play on the mentally ill thing, just like with Molly. I had the same issues in Nebraska as I had here. People didn't come forward. They told me they were gonna, but then they didn't have time, and then later on it was, I'm afraid for my kids. The thing with Candace is that people told me, hey, you know what, don't help Candace, don't deal with Candace, she's a meth addict, she's just trying to take your money. I recorded it to make sure that I showed that I wasn't giving her money, and also that, yes, I am helping these people out. I'm not being a jerk to all these people. I'm not making this stuff up. This really is how it is out here. And if I'm not nice to the addicts, what are the chances that they'll get angry and berate me and scream and shout? And especially if it's an addict female, I got to worry about her pretending that I might do something to her, or going to the churches and playing victim. And the churches will help a woman, especially if she's got a kid. The cops will help a woman, especially if she's got a kid, especially if those cops have committed crimes already. All right, I'm done yakking at you. I just needed to get out off my chest and make sure you guys were aware of that. This is one of my computers that was full of evidence. My little sister had a friend who was, and you're going to understand this, I'm sure. He's what's called schizoaffective. Mm-hmm. And he was supposed to give me a bid, and he told me, my little sister told me he wasn't schizoaffective. It was an argument. Mm. I said, no, Tara, I'm pretty sure he's schizoaffective. Yeah. So then after my sister had him come over when it was just supposed to be me and her, and I tried to be nice, and I told him, all right, well, I'll pay you for being here, I guess, if you can give me a bid on what it'll cost to... And I told him what the problems were with the computers, and he was going to give me a bid. Instead, he erased this entire computer. Instead of getting angry and beating him to death, all I could do is take a picture of it and document it and try to find somebody to help me fix it. Yeah. I don't have anyone still. I know you were going to help me, and then everything happened with your health and with work and all that.
I was throwing up yesterday.
Well, that's one of the things that if I try to tell the cops, well, it's not that he's not trying to help, he was throwing up. Yeah. It's not that he wasn't trying to help, he's got to feed his family. It's not that he didn't want to help, it's that people are threatening to kill him. Yeah. Well, not you, obviously, right. On that one.
People threaten us, it's like, bring it on.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's really scary, too. Like my friend Joanna Taylor Smith, when I told her that I was going to commit suicide over the way these people were treating me before Natalie died, she was trying to tell me that she was going to make their life hell if I did that. She would make Maddie and Natalie see his life hell. And I love those people, just same as I love Scott. I don't want his life to be hell. Right. I don't eat strawberries for a reason. And it's not even because I want to talk to Scott, because the last time I sent him a message, I was definitely an asshole. I definitely knew that the stuff that I was typing at him was wrong and rude and inconsiderate, and it was definitely just to make him feel how I felt. No hatred there. Yeah. No malice. It's the pain, you know. When I feel pain and people don't want to understand it, I'm very good at letting people know exactly how it feels. Like there's a lot of people who I post.
I just say fuck off.
Right? I'm sorry, I'm trying to dig my stuff out, but obviously it's living in a car, you know.
Well, your boat's not there.
Yeah, I sold that to Dallas Palmer. No, I gotta reach over the top of the front. I hope I did. But like one of the things that's for certain, I mean, there's definitely too much of it for me to be able to do it all myself. And the other thing is, I can't have you guys spending every day 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock carrying my stuff in and out for me because I'm too fatigued to do so. Right. Also, if I have to leave my vehicle to go inside somewhere, I can't keep my vehicle safe. And with people like Candace being angry at me, she spat on my vehicle yesterday. She at my vehicle. She showed up with this guy, threatening harm, threatening to kill me, threatening to all sorts of stuff. And, you know, by the time I got the thing recorded, it was just like with Molly. You know, that day she was threatening me with harm, the day that she was breaking the glass. She was accusing me of doing something to Tom. Tom, as far as he was telling me that I have recorded, he was trying to get away from her. That just wasn't the reality. Anyway, I'm all worked up because of Candace yesterday, and I did record it. It is recorded. You can even see the spit coming out of her mouth towards my rained-on window. You can also hear her and her screaming and her yelling. And, you know, I didn't record going and getting her food to be a dick to her. I did it because I needed to show that I'm telling the truth. People, if they don't see me doing stuff, then anytime something bad happens, I get people threatening to kill me. Did you kill this woman in Washington State? No, I didn't fucking kill anybody anywhere. I'm on video in fucking Tillamook, Oregon. Am I in Tillamook, Oregon?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so if any woman gets abducted today in Washington State or Northern California, will you verify that I'm actually a real person and not a figment of my own imagination?
Yeah.
All right, because I would hate to believe that I'm having a delusion about myself being real.
Are you using what kind of drugs?
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. And then people don't understand the dynamics of it. If a drug addict doesn't get what they want after telling you their sob story, they might hurt you. You know, with Candace, she said that she wouldn't be angry if I couldn't get her what she wanted. And she didn't get angry with me when I told her I don't mess around with white or clear. But the other thing is, you can't say anything to a meth addict or an alcoholic about how scary they are when they're on meth or when they're on alcohol, or you're a bad person and they will harm you, as many people have.
Yeah.
All right, I'm trying to find a piece of plastic to put over the top of this.
I have the umbrella to keep it from getting.
Oh, yes, you do have an umbrella. All right. Oh, I have umbrellas. Ugh. I don't have a big old man clotter like you got, but I have this thing that somebody's dog ate, so they throw it away. I'm like, the part that works is still there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here's that then, I guess. Well, thank you, Jared.
Got it?
Yes, sir. La 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 Oh shit, you're still out there.
I'm still waiting for you.
Oh, I got one more bag. And then I can carry my man purse. Sorry about that. Yes, sir. Ugh. What? Oh, sorry. I'm rude.
Just need to get in.
Yes, ma'am.
Back to do what you're doing.
Sorry about that. Oh, shit. Yes, ma'am. I just got like 2 drinks of coffee and I'm gonna take like 4 drags off of tobacco.
Okay.
So I'll start walking in there in just a minute. That way you can.
All right. Oh, let me go into the covered area over there.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Jared. I'm sorry for treating you like my personal bitch. I don't mean to. I'm needy. Oh, shit. God damn it. Where the fuck did I put my fucking phone? Jeez, if I could be a more useless fucking turd, I wouldn't know it. Oh, there it is. I have panic attacks over people hurting me. I have flashbacks of people hurting me. And it sucks. A lot of these people, I do mean things. I say mean things back to them. A lot of them don't understand how mean their words really are when they blow you off. It gets to the point where the words, "I'm sorry," are the most hurtful words you can hear. Because they let you know that the person's not a fighter. They don't care about your rights enough to fight. They're going to find a reason to look the other way. There's also people that don't understand that I'm a team player. But the people that I end up helping are mostly drug addicts. They're the ones that ask for my help. Most other people, they have a support network. So they say, well, I don't need your help. God damn it, I can't find my cigarettes now. All right. Uh, Ew. Easy to breathe through my mouth or nose. All right. Boy. A lot of people seem to think that they are owed privacy in public. No, you're not. People are victimized every day in public, and the only thing that gets their predator locked away so they can't hurt anyone else is that evidence recorded in public and in public places. But you get to see how when a man is victimized, how none of these services care, how none of these companies care. God damn it, now my foot's cramping up. I keep forgetting and walking off without my cane. Now we do have a country that's full of racists and racist PG propaganda. I think that's a weird thing to call it, but apparently that's a thing. Kind of like Fleek. Apparently it has something to do with eyebrows. God damn it. I don't know, I'm not Fleek. My eyebrows are bushy. But not George H.W. Bushy. I meant bushy, but obviously my words didn't come together right. When I'm frustrated, that happens, or when I'm rushed or in a hurry. Rush me or hurry me. Just that it's 6 years all at once to try to turn in. God damn it. What a pain in the ass this is. the thing is that their behaviors and actions have been entirely inappropriate. I know that Jared can explain this better than I can. I know that his mom could definitely explain it better than any of us could. Thank you. Too much. Make sure I get this plugged in. Alright, I got it.
You got it?
Yeah. One usually turns off in the elevator, so that'll be like 10 seconds of it not recording.
Remember to grab this, remember to grab that.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I'll forget something I always do. That's one of the issues with having so much of it. Having a screwed up back and them telling me, oh, your back's screwed up? Well, guess what? We're going to make you do it anyway. Right now, I should probably be on a pretty strict regimen of hardcore opiates in the pain I'm in. But then I won't get anything done. See what a gentleman I am. I got the door for you. Pretty good. Your name? Sean Schwartz.
We'll have 3 hours break. That's working. We'll have 3 hours break. That's working.
There was a lot of
We're locked in now.
There was a lot of people who lived on the know. A lot of people who offered to help. There was also the little tricks that people use to try to make you a target to the public that made it impossible to communicate with anybody or get anything done. A lot of the people that I stayed with were alcoholics, drug addicts. They were the only ones that would take me in or take me seriously.
They're doing a good job.
Oh, the garden?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure be
Looks
nice
like
if
they
we
almost have a band over there under that area.
Yeah. How difficult would it be for them to designate an area the size of that garden there for homeless people?
Well, they're building apartments over there by Umpqua.
Yeah, they're in the process of it, right there next to the Sacred Heart.
Yeah.
That's really the name of a place? I thought that was only in cartoons.
No, Sacred Heart, it's one of the churches.
No,
here.
Kumquat.
Oh, I didn't say Kumquat.
He did.
I said Umpqua,
Kumquat.
Yeah.
the bank,
I'm sorry.
by the
good.
fire department.
Kumquat is an actual thing too. It's a fruit.
Yeah, I was just thinking that it's a weird name for something for a
Right.
town in
So is
Oregon.
Umpqua.
Not really. That'd be a native name. Kumquat, it definitely is not.
Well, Tillamook was originally Killamook, but they changed it to Tillamook because it was
Racist?
not as no. Well, no. It was it was native. Tillamook was native. It was the land of five waters.
Land of many waters.
Yeah, many waters. But because it sounded like somebody was, going to kill somebody, they changed it.
That's one of the things that's been used often. A lot of women that I chastised wanted to stop attacking me. I'm like, see, now there you're playing victim, trying to pretend like I'm a physically violent person by changing the word. Kind of like when the cops want to physically assault you and try to use pressure points to make you move. And then they go, you're resisting. No, you're fucking assaulting me, asshole. But they're taught to do that, and they're taught how to get away with that. What I'm gonna try to do, I guess, because I gotta be able to show you what's gone on in the last few days, because obviously when it goes oh yes, I do. When it goes unchecked like this, it turns into a lot of crimes, and it also turns into, obviously, me having to be afraid to go to the services. Once I've had to go to the services alone by myself, just once is enough for me to basically be screwed. So that first time that I have to go in, it's important to have someone go with me. Where's that other bag?
This one has the speakers behind those because we're not supposed to have food or drink in here.
No? Well, I'm not drinking it or eating it.
Yeah. That's why Dad finished his food before coming in.
Well, I know how to use the carpet shampooer, and well, I can't run it anymore, but back is screwed. But it was a good idea before. Well, I'll put the beverages away then. They're non-alcoholic.
Yeah. Well, I just tucked it into the bag.
This is some of that hospital stuff you got to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the instructions that I had, and this is something that's real important. It's also real important for people to look at the Natalie Bollinger situation and realize what an impact it really has.
Yeah.
I get all the
you and I went through this one.
Yes, sir. Now, what are my instructions for preventing this stuff from happening to begin with?
Locate a time within each video for hard evidence required by the police to file an investigation.
Not that one. Oh, that one I've been trying. You just kind of keep reminding me an accessible place to do it.
Yeah.
And I can't provide one for myself. I obviously can't stay with you long enough to do that, or stay with your dad long enough to do that, or stay in the mountains long enough to do that. Especially when at least two of those places will make it difficult to have internet access. The other one will get you kicked out. I do have a lot of blank ones of these because I made photocopies of them once I was able to get one. The problem is at the very beginning I didn't have access to any of that.
Mm-hmm.
I had to purchase all that with my disability money, which I wouldn't have had to do to defend myself. My whole plan, and I can show all of it, I was trying to get help. I was going to all the places that people still tell me to go.
Yeah.
I pretend I don't go to the mental health services and so on and so forth. The problem is mental health services don't do their job when you're abused. They send you around in circles. Cops won't take you seriously. This right here is my disciplinary reporting form. I've got about 300 of these. They had one of these for every time I tried to turn them in. They would retaliate by having one of those without me and claiming that I didn't want to go and so on and so forth. It's a kangaroo court. When you're locked up, they get to decide if you're guilty or innocent. And you don't get a lawyer, you don't get nothing. And then they take away your phone privileges, they take away your mail, they take away pretty much everything. And when you're an innocent person who's being held in there and you're being denied the rights of an inmate that's in the jail, because you're not in the jail, they made sure you went to prison so that you couldn't. Those right there, those are what happens when you make one of these. Also, some of those people that I was telling you about and showing you a few of these with their names on them, there's also a lot of them in here with their names written in response. So that shows, like right here, This is Sarah Nelson right here. The one who was convicted of having sex with inmates, the assistant warden. That's with Sarah Nelson. This is Sarah Nelson. This is Sarah Nelson. This is Sarah Nelson. More Sarah Nelson, Sarah Nelson, Sarah Nelson, Sarah Nelson. Actually, this is all up to about here. This is all Sarah Nelson right here. There's about 20 of them there. I told people what was happening there, nobody wanted to hear it. She's the one that I had to try to turn crimes into.
Yeah.
When they were denying me access to the mail and to the telephone.
Well, this is just like news. Some people like to watch the news and find out what's going on. Others don't.
Well, it's kind of different because this has a lot of people's lives at stake if people don't.
I mean, you hear people being shot on the news and stuff too. A lot of people just don't want to hear that.
Yeah, there's also a lot of people that, unless it happens to them or their friends and family, they don't really care. The Bollingers were never involved in finding missing people. They're evil people. I've been finding missing people since 2012 when my little sister disappeared. I don't take this lightly. So then, after Natalie died, they tried pretending that I was them and they were me. They were good people who helped find missing people and so on and so forth. Like, no, you're not.
I'm not a detective.
Not you. I know you're not a detective. You're not stupid enough. You have to be a judgmental asshole.
I don't have the ability to track people down, nothing like that. If I did, I'd be shooting too many people.
Well, I certainly hope you don't end up doing anything of the sort. That's one of the things that scares me.
There's so many idiots out there.
There are, but one of the things is most of the people I stayed with, one of the first things that scared me about staying with them is when instead of, they'd say, hey, if you come here, I'll help you to turn it in. I'll help you with this and I'll help you with that. And when I got there, the first thing they did is start talking about how they'd shoot people if they did it, how they'd kill people if they did it to them, and that just scares the hell out of me. And then after that, they don't try to turn it in. They just keep on talking about killing people. And then if I talk about it, I'm after listening to a lot of these judges and lawyers and stuff telling me that it's going to take an act of God to do some of these things, I was like, really? I'm going to take some stuff out of the Bible, actually out of the book, not a gross reinterpretation. We're going to read out of the Bible what Jesus said. Because Jesus said, he didn't say go to kill homosexuals. He didn't say to do that. He said everybody would die. I mean, he went through a whole list of everyone that will die. And after I went through the list, I explained, see, here's the thing, is we're all sinners. We're all going to die. I'm going to die. We all deserve to die. That's what it says. That's what the good book says. We all deserve to die. And thank goodness, because if the people that I love die, it hurts me and it doesn't stop hurting me. And I don't want to live knowing that every single person that I've ever known is dead, but I'm stuck here for all eternity, you know? That would be a horrible sentence. Anyway, there's video evidence of a lot of the stuff that I wrote down. The lady who's in charge of that, though, her name is Miranda Nuzzi. And she's not from the United States. She has an idea of democracy that's a little closer to Nazi socialism. There was also several doctors that told me that I needed to turn this stuff in, and by law, who I needed to turn it into. One of them was a therapist there at the prison. I also did visit with 5 different people who were able to diagnose schizophrenia while I was in the prison, and all 5 of them were pissed off that they were lied to and told that I was schizophrenic and delusional. That's gaslighting. The cops didn't want anybody to listen to me or believe me, just like the Bollingers didn't want anyone to listen or believe me. As far as the legal processes go, there's people that went through it with me, at least in part, well after the situation, and they had the same findings that I did. They had the same opinions that I did, and they felt that these professionals were not doing their job, that they were backtracking when they got busted, or outright just refusing to speak to me or to do their jobs whatsoever. Come on. This thing does take a while to load up. And by the way, thank you both for listening. Well, except for the guy in the corner with the phone. I hope he's got a hottie on the other end. Isn't that what I'm supposed to say as a man?
No, I have that outside. I'm just
Your car?
no.
One of the things with your mom, though, is she did go with me to 2 different places. And she also sat with me when we had made an appointment so that I could have somebody there with me. And every time I do that, and I let these places know, like that one was about, God, I'd have to go back through my audio recordings for that because it's not on video, but it's got the lady's name in the recording. It shows that she went out of her way not to call me back when I would have somebody there to assist me. They don't try to understand that it's not that I have difficulties with speaking, it's that I have difficulty speaking when I'm overwhelmed. And obviously, look how many pieces of paper are there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just one tiny stack. How heavy was that bag, the bag of papers that you carried? That was about half of my papers all at once. Probably
That was heavy.
30, 40 pounds maybe.
About 40.
Yeah. So, I mean, that right there, that's maybe a pound worth of paper.
Yeah.
There's easily 200 to 300 there. That's just from Lincoln Correctional Center and the DEC. They were supposed to send me to a mental health facility, and at a mental health facility, I would have had access to my legal materials and to computers and stuff. But because Scott DaCosta told them that I was schizophrenic and delusional, and to make sure that I was separated from people, that they made sure that they did that. They also made sure that they didn't allow me to access the phone to call my lawyer for almost 40 days. It also shows that my rights in each and every one of these cases were due to intentional clerical error, and also due to the fact that the people I had to go to for help in a small town are all friends with the other people in that small town. I mean, in Chapel, Nebraska alone, Scott DaCosta is the sheriff. I was trying to turn him in. He hired Leslie Snell. Leslie Snell is the wife of Clint Snell. He's one of the people who was threatening to kill me if I didn't leave town, according to his brother, Carl Snell, who I have recorded talking about the situation, as well as people that I had sent the information that were supposedly friends of mine when it first happened, like Nicole Medicine. Her and her brother both have a lot to say about different situations that I've been involved in since then. Basically, people just wanted to hide their involvement, hide what they knew, hide the fact that they were witnesses. That's one of the things that makes you guys not suck so much, is that you are willing to fess up to what you were there for. That sounds horrible, doesn't it? Like I'm blaming you.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's see if I can hook it up to the library internet. I should probably wait on it for a minute because it tries to pop up the Steam still, even though I don't have any Steam games on here anymore. And it also tries to pop up with the Discord, which I always need help setting up anyway, and it doesn't work worth crap. Like I said, this is just a tiny part of it. Mr. New Year. His name was New Year. See, anytime that they forced a situation where I needed to get their attention, that's what they did. The reason I was throwing pebbles, all right, these things, there are no rocks on the yard, okay? Every single tiny pebble, it's big enough to fit through the hole in this plug-in on the outlet. It's that small. That's what I had to do to get their attention. They forgot I was out there. I did write down, like this one right here, you got to see last time, I think, the diagram of the prison and the DEC SNF floor plan. That helps to show how the cameras are utilized so that the nurses and people in the nursing station can antagonize the inmates, but it doesn't record them, it only records the inmates' reactions.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's no volume, so they pretend that the inmates are just volatile and freaking out for no reason, and they'll come in and inject you with alcohol or slam you to the floor and beat you down. One of the things they did to me is that the clothes that I had on, they were trying to set up an assault, and they do this frequently if they don't like an inmate. They'll work it out so that during TV times, so that they can have it as a spectator sport, they'll go sit you next to one of the inmates that wants to harm you, and they tell him that you're a child molester or rapist or some creepy shit like that, and then they'll sit you next to him while you're supposed to be watching the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And the creepy thing is that they turn down the volume on the TV so you know something's about to go down. And the other inmates, two of them, they're literally people who were in there for murder, and the guards wanted me to sit next to them with the volume down, and just, it was a whole fucked up setup. There was a guy named Jared Checkle who was a witness to it, and he's willing to speak out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing. I mean, Scott DaCosta had too much power. He was allowed to press false charges on me repeatedly, had me sent to Scotts Bluff, told them that I was a nut job. Had me sent to Garden County, told him I was a nut job. Had me sent to Scotts Bluff, told him I was a nut job. And because I was technically Dual County's prisoner,
Mm-hmm.
Scott DaCosta got to make all of the shots and call all of the shots and make all of the decisions in every place that he sent me. He got to utilize jurisdictions in multiple counties. There's also this stuff in here about child molesters that I had to stay with. They promised to help, and I got there and found out they were child molesters after I left. I saw the signs of it while I was there, and I did speak up to a woman named Shannon Alvarado, but she's an alcoholic and doesn't want to admit she's an alcoholic or how that affects others. How does alcohol affect people?
It impairs their vision and their thinking skills, their cognitive skills, and their memory.
Indeed. So obviously, if I'm dealing with people like that are supposedly going to help me, it's probably not going to turn out well. How do alcoholics generally react when you tell them that something they're doing is hurting you and they're doing it because of the alcohol?
They usually get very defiant that it's not against the alcohol and that this is who they are. And
well, apparently you're more educated than most Americans know as much as you do. Just, it depends on who it is. For a male, they just choose to ignore all of the warning signs of abuse. For me, I wasn't just exhibiting signs that I was being abused. I was outright stating that I was being abused. Even that wasn't enough, even though, according to the law, me telling them I'm being abused is enough to begin an investigation. Now on these, there's a whole bunch of those, a whole bunch more too. And when you start reading through them, you get to realize that they're giving the most bullshit answers that they can. Basically any excuse not to look at it. Any excuse to just blow it off and pretend it didn't happen. And repeatedly, the government services that I'm sent to are telling me that they can't give me legal advice, but they are giving me legal advice because they're telling me it'll take acts of God to get legal processes going. I'm like, no, it doesn't take an act of God to get a legal process going. What it takes is the ability to turn it in safely to the police. As a homeless and disabled male, I am likely to get blown off. One of the things with them blowing me off is that they blew me off to the point that I literally had to go public with it. And then my predators, playing victims, got to turn it into the cops that I was speaking up about it and pretend like I was some sort of a rank nut job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still dealing with that. I still talk 200 miles a minute because I'm scared shitless everywhere I go. I'm also scared of the limited amount of time. Here's some from Arapahoe County Jail. This one I'm hoping has, well, like I said, even with my wrist issues, I wrote everywhere that I went. You know, this is Arapahoe County Jail. There's probably 100 pieces of paper here written on. Then there's, of course, the same thing. They wanted to keep on accusing me of things I didn't do. Anything that I said or did, they would try to twist into something that it wasn't. And because there's no audio in the facility, just like there was no audio in the Boulder County Jail or the Boulder County Hospital when I was assaulted there, we had to rely on body cameras from the police officers that nobody would get because I didn't have the ability to record. I was trying to show them what was going on and the abuse that I'd been taking, and all they were interested in was trying to pretend like I was trying to kill myself. I wasn't there because I was trying to kill myself. I was there because they fucking lied to me, along with officers from multiple other jurisdictions. But also by calling me mentally ill, they were able to prevent me from turning them in by having to go in alone and having to deal with people from, like Shannon Alvarado lives in, God, what's the name of that town? Sherman Oaks, California. Dan Favorite lived in Illinois. Katie Cahill lived in Illinois. Daniel Apathy lived in Greenock, Scotland. That Denise lady, she lived in Germany. Siggy Lork lives in Germany. I mean, through all this, there have been all sorts of people in foreign countries offering to help. Some of them even saying that they would come here to America to help me. How strange is that? Or trying to convince me that I should go to their country. Alright, I showed you the Gugasian video on here. It's actually on my internet as well as Gugasian Weaponry. That's the guy that wanted to use my engine design to kill people, and I wasn't okay with it. I've also got the emails with him. I don't think I showed those to you, did I? I just showed you where the video is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a really bad panic attack right before I ran into you guys. And yesterday with the thing with Candace spitting on my vehicle and her friend threatening to hurt me and kill me and all sorts of other stuff. And he was telling me to record it, but while he was screaming that he was going to beat me up well, he didn't threaten to beat me up. I think he only threatened to kill me. And, you know, the whole you have no idea what I'm capable of stuff, you know, pretty standard testosterone bullshit. I think this is Arapahoe County too, but I'm not for certain. Nope, this is Boulder County Jail. They just kept on preventing me from going to court. My public pretenders repeatedly didn't show up. They wouldn't allow my friends or family to go see what was going on or look at the evidence, and they wouldn't release any of that to me. They wouldn't allow me to have access to the body cams. They wouldn't nothing. Meanwhile, the police departments they were using to arrest me weren't even the right police departments. Oh shit, I shouldn't have pulled those apart. Some of them were stuck together because they got wet. Here's one of the, witnesses for the people. Look at the top. Waylon Lolatai, Officer Vanderleest. You remember those videos I was showing you about what Lolatai? Yeah, they never released the body cameras. My public pretenders absolutely refused to get the body cameras. Instead of making an attempt at the body cameras, they did the same thing that Marcia Estrada said in that video that I sent you. You know, the whole sleight of hand and blah, 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 blah. Saying stuff like, oh, well, you know, it'll take an act of God to get the body cams. I've got multiple officers telling me that. They're intentionally trying to prevent me from turning in officers. The fact that I have it recorded shows that they committed more than just misdemeanors. At that point, it becomes conspiracy and they're committing felonies.
Yeah.
Felony conspiracy against an at-risk adult. Also by Lolatai and the news media and the false charges at the very beginning, it created an image of me that was some sort of monster. And as a result, I was cut off from my friends and family. The number of pieces of evidence that I have, I mean, there's no way I can scroll through all of the screenshots that I've got either. All right, now we'll see if we look up. Anyway, with the files that I showed you last time, I didn't open up very many, but there was still a lot in there. I have to go through all that. I also have to record 24 hours a day in public because I never know when someone's going to walk up to my vehicle and just start being an asshole. Whether it be a police officer, a business owner, or some Karen who doesn't like the look of my kayak that's gone now. Wow. There is almost no connection here.
Really?
Yeah. So I have to go outside to drink my Coors. It's a good thing it's Monster Java, not Coors.
Yeah.
I won't drink it here because I don't want to get anyone in trouble, and it also prevent me from having access to this. One of the biggest issues that within my first couple of days there, many of these people had already committed crimes against me.
Yeah.
And I was being forced to go to Sherwood and Kern, who are supposed to help me with this stuff, and they were being the most disrespectful, rude, and inconsiderate people that they could possibly be. They're not mental health trained. They don't, because I was called schizophrenic by Scott DaCosta, they put me in the mental health part of it. That was C2, and I'm stuck in there with people like, well, a bunch of sex offenders and people who killed their own families. Pretty gross. Alright, it says msftconnecttest.com/redirect. So apparently there's a sign-in page. And
It's just a quick thing where you just click.
You know why it's not quick on this? It's because it's some of those files have literally hundreds upon hundreds of pieces of evidence. That one that I was showing you, there's one called Everything, and it's got probably about 10,000 files in it.
Oh, there it is.
Or 10,000 individual pieces of evidence and recordings. The problem is, obviously, it gets real complicated because by the time people have the time, it's already buried in 6 months of bullshit. And 6 months of me still being blown off. And obviously, with the way that they dealt with the situations with Molly, I have to be afraid to try to turn anything into them without, obviously, one of you guys. Come on. Thank you for helping me carry that. That makes it so that, like, people don't understand how fatigued I get or how quickly. Sometimes if I make a walk across town, I literally have to sit down somewhere for 4 to 6 hours before I can get up and walk again. Sometimes I just get fatigued enough to the point that I just shouldn't walk anymore, or I'm gonna end up that way. And I try to sit down by that point, but I'm not always able to. And of course, you know, the standard excuses when people don't want to listen to a homeless person. Get a job.
and building stuff. Always wanted to build me a pirate ship and a castle underground. Right? Hey, there's people that are rich enough to do it. I just ain't one of them. All right. We'll see if it'll take us to YouTube. They give the most dismissive, non-committal answers in the history of ever. Or some of these, like Mr. New Year, likes to either blame the victim or tell him you can't turn in crimes or you can't turn in stuff for other inmates, things of that nature. Then they have court without you, and you're not allowed to call witnesses, you're not allowed to nothing. It's just the guard's word versus yours, and you lose. Once in a while they'll say, all right, well, we'll accept this one and get rid of this one, so they can pretend like it was a fair trial till they drop some of the fake shit that they put on you. Mm-hmm. Moral of the story is you don't tell on Officer William Lolatai. Oh, you want to look at this? People versus Sean Schwartz says Officer Whalen Lolatai at the top.
Oh no, I'm good.
All right.
I don't read I don't comprehend what I read a lot.
Head injuries.
No, it's always been that way for me. Even in grade school and that.
And that's one of the things with going to you for help that's important for, well, you being able to say it, is that's not something you're able to do. That's something that's a learning curve.
That's why when we go to Bible studies, everybody else reads the Bible, I just listen.
Knowing only what you want to know and hearing only what you want.
No, I listen to it all.
Actually, it's hearing only what you want to hear and knowing only what you've heard. I didn't feel like doing the Metallica thing. Oh, it says Officer Fitch. This guy didn't identify himself as Officer Fitch. What he told me was that his name was... Oh, and also, if you notice, Border Police, Border Police, Border Police, Border Police, Broomfield, and then Property Evidence Tech, Sergeant Dave Spraggs, Tech Elizabeth Reller, Tech Gordon Brown, Tech Jennifer Torres, Tech Sharon Hayward, 911 dispatch operator, 911 caller / radio reporter, Boulder investigators, Jane Harmer, Michael Burley, Maggie Green, Mark Hussman, Jennifer Langfield, Ryan Massfeller. Look at that. They've got over 20 names on that one piece of paper and not one piece of evidence. Like, they literally did everything that they could to make sure that the evidence wasn't there. They just put a bunch of people's names down and go, oh, see, we're right. We got a bunch of names. Really, where's the evidence? And why did you drop the charges? With all of this, why did they drop the charges? Why did they even press charges on me? They tried claiming that I tried to bite them with, look at how many teeth I have.
Yeah.
Not a single one. Anyway, it doesn't say who the 911 dispatch operator is. But these other people, why were they fucking with my computers and all of my other electronic devices? Why did they do that? Obviously, over an assault at a hospital against an officer, which is what they were trying to claim. Yeah, they don't need all of this. They were trying to frame me for murder, trying to go through my stuff so they could try to find some excuse. Try to frame me for murder by pressing false charges. When it didn't work, they'd still already slandered me to the public, said that I was arrested on unrelated charges. Natalie Bollinger's family kept on getting a hold of me and threatening to kill me, harassing me, calling up nasty phone numbers, just like I was just showing him over the other day. The sheer number of harassment calls.
Restricted number called him or texted him, asking if it was him, saying that they had, some of his stuff. But he's like, well, you won't even tell me your full name. And when he called them out for, just trying to get a rise out of them, they started claiming, well, you're, a sex offender and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So that one was actually a number. It's a fake number. One of the ones that's like a Google dial. And then he's getting on and accusing me of calling myself. I'm like, that was this morning, by the way. He still keeps calling and harassing and sending those. And that's the thing, I'm supposed to turn that in immediately. Oh, the recording I'm making now is called Man versus Woman with Cops, Public Media, Scudders Help. Let's see. The main video. Alright, I'm only having problems with this stuff because I can't find the mouse. Sorry.
You're good.
Try not to mess it up. Anyway, it's not a matter of not telling the truth. It's a matter of nobody looks and it's assumed I'm guilty, and bias against anything with a penis is very popular right now, especially if it's a white penis. I apologize for having a penis, Jared. I apologize for having a penis, Jason. Penis be with you. Penis be with you. Penis be with you, my brothers. Oh, also, like I said, there's a whole bunch of these USB drives. This is 128. There's most of these had stuff on them, and some of it's been lost or disappeared since then because cops got a hold of it. Literally, Scott DeCosta, who I was trying to turn in. 11 different times they pressed charges against me of crimes that never happened or crimes that I was forced to commit, but they had to drop the charges every single time because they couldn't bring it to court without allowing me my side. They had to try to pay schizophrenic, which meant that they had to work together with people who were threatening me and harassing me and assaulting me. And much like the situation with Molly, it's recorded. Much like with the situation with Jamie, it's recorded. And you also get to see, like with Jamie getting hit in the back of the head, that's got over 500 views, almost 600 views now, and still, nobody tried to turn it in.
Mm-hmm.
For every one of those that I made, there's at least one of those. The guards who I was having to turn those into, the guards literally that I was trying to turn in, were reading them and bringing them back to my cell, and that's illegal. But nobody cared. All right, let's see. Live, I think is what we're looking for. And then should I just try to send them to your email?
Yeah.
Alright, because that'd be easiest.
So
We
we
can have
do it.
files. I'm not sure if you'd be able to open them on your phone. See if there's even a way to do that. Let's see. All right. So this is the stuff from just this week. There was over, I want to say I made like 20 videos yesterday. I was having a pretty bad day. I also got to see a lot of people are now speaking up about how men are treated. And there's a lot of people who are posting up about women just like the women I've been running into, where if you don't give them what they want right when they want, they throw a tantrum and play victim, and then they tell you, well, I'm not going to do what you want right when you want. It's not that women are evil, we just taught them differently than we taught men, and we taught men and women that we're supposed to treat men and women different. Men are taught it's never okay to hit a girl. Girls are taught they get one for free, but a lot of women think that their free hit gets to reset, and then also there's the part where they end up, if it's a lesbian relationship, you're not having a man who's taught that it's never okay to hit a woman and a woman who's told it's okay to hit a man. Now you've got two women who are told that it's always okay for them to hit a person and they're not allowed to hit you back, but your same gender is taught the same thing that you are. So you've got two women who think that it's okay to hit people, but it's not okay for people to hit them back, and they're both in a relationship together. And that's why lesbian relationships are the most physically violent. And also, for scrolling back to the stuff with you, I'm not sure how long that'll take.
What's up?
I said, for scrolling back to the stuff with you guys last year, where you guys did tell me what was going on, and I did speak up about what was going on, and I also spoke up about being frustrated. You know, that's all on my YouTube channel still. I gotta dig for it now. And that's one of the things about it taking so long too. Thank you for understanding my disabilities and helping me hear your stuff too. So what do you think so far?
Well, I can tell for a fact that they, weren't even dropping them off, because there's only I only found one so far that actually has the official stamp that they investigated it. And that was, hold on. Trying to find it here. Because it was put in on the 28th, and then they didn't do anything about it until the 31st, same month. Or I didn't look at it until.
Yeah. When they put the stamp on it, that just shows that they officially saw it. But if you can see,
All the other ones don't have them, and very few of them have actually gotten the correspondence back.
well, that right there isn't entirely their fault. What I had to do, and I got in trouble for this, by the way, you'll read about that in those if you get that far. So what I had to do is they have their carbon copies, obviously, and they weren't giving me my carbon copy. So there's probably about 60 to 80 of these that they never returned. So what I started to do after that, they would only allow me a certain amount per day. Well, when they're committing 20 crimes against you a day, and you're only allowed 4 of these. Yep, that one right there.
That was because of the medical.
Yep. So, like this one, Teresa Royer, never showed up. The lady who I was sending all that stuff to that was supposed to help me, the assistant warden, Sarah Nelson, when they had that set up with the other inmates, and Jared Checkle is still willing to testify about that and about 8 other situations. They took me to my cell. They harmed me right there in front of the other inmates for entertainment. And then they were trying to play the victim thing and took me to my room, and Jared was so pissed off about it. Anyway, they took me to my room, and then they were assaulting me out there. I'm like, I am trying to turn you guys in. You cannot do this. You cannot try to force me to sit next to pedophiles and rapists who kill people and try to antagonize a situation and give them the opportunity. You guys are fucked up. And so, they wanted to assault the living shit out of me. And then once they were able to get me into the cell, which I wasn't fighting, they kept on doing pressure points on me, trying to hurt me. The one dude tried to pull my jaw apart. And so I'm just trying not to move, and then they're trying to crush my hands with their restraints. They're trying to crush me onto my restraints, trying to make sure that I am in as much pain as humanly possible. And they also come by and they know which parts that they can stand at, that the camera can't point it where they're,
Yeah.
harassing you. One of the things they fuck with also is your food. They're not allowed to, but they do it anyway. They come to your cell and say, "Oh, you don't want breakfast?" Yeah, they want breakfast.
Yeah.
But because you're in the crazy house, these guys all think that it's funny to make fun of the inmate. I mean, if you can imagine if they put Scott in there or your dad in there into a situation like that, and then their solution is to inject them with Haldol, that's going to fix them.
So at one point when he was in, they wouldn't allow him his cane.
They never allowed me mine.
Yeah, but at one point they didn't allow him his cane until they literally had to go back through his paperwork, and they're like, "Oh, this is why he has it." But they didn't want him having it because he was because it could be considered a weapon. So they
And
ended
then
up
they put me in
a medical ward in order to allow him to have it.
They just put me in the hole. They always had some shitty excuse, but then again, I wasn't married to Kara. I hope I say her name right.
Yeah, Kara. Yep.
I'm not trying to say that she's badass, but you guys are lucky to have her. I mean, I'm telling you how to think and feel, sir. Let's see if we can get this to work. And that's one of the things about having an ADA coordinator. My ADA coordinator, I met him once. His name was something Thomas. He had his first name and his last name, Hayden Thomas, Hayden. Oh, that's not working. Let's try it again. Hayden Thomas, Lincoln, Nebraska. Just like I was saying last time, Nebraska corrections official resigns after an inmate is denied. This is the guy that he showed up once and he quit, never talked to me again. So I didn't actually have a disability coordinator. They can pretend that I have one because he showed up once.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the horrible tricks that they pulled. One of the other ones is they tried having a doctor. He's an old guy wanting to retire, and they wanted him to try to give diagnoses for me based on all people who Scott DaCosta had literally told that I was schizophrenic. So then those people later on that, they wrote down schizophrenic because Scott DaCosta told them, and they didn't have any reason not to trust him.
Mm-hmm.
So they just wrote it down. Well, then later on, they were pissed off because they'd written it down and then they were lied to. They transferred me out of C2 and they put me in, what was it? Anyway, they couldn't keep me in the crazy one because I wasn't schizophrenic. I'm not delusional. I got PTSD from the abuse by him. But the other thing is that the unit that they sent me to is managed by the same people.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. New Year, Mr. Sherwood, Miss Kern, and what was that asshole's name? There was one guy there who was just a